Hey everyone, this is Kyle from Money at 30, and a couple of weeks ago I made a video about saving money at Disney, which included a tip about staying off property. Well, as luck would have it, I'm actually staying at a hotel near Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida this week, so I thought I'd show you around and tell you what the pros and cons of this resort are.
During this trip, we stayed at the Caribe Royale, located on World Center Drive, just a few minutes from the Walt Disney World Resort. Booking fairly last minute on Priceline, we were able to get the room for an average of $123 a night for 3 nights. With taxes added, our prepaid total was $448.98, with additional charges that we'll get into a bit later. With this hotel potentially allowing you to save money on your Disney trip, I wanted to discuss what I liked about the Caribe Royale, what I didn't, and some of my other impressions.
So one funny thing is when we arrived, I turned on the sink and noticed there was a little bit of like a swampy type smell, and I actually had the same problem at the hotel I stayed at a couple months ago in Champions Gate, and it turns out my wife, who used to live here for 4 years, says that's just how Florida smells. So there's nothing wrong with the water, it just smells that way. So one of the things I do like about this hotel is that there's actually a mini fridge that is pretty sizable. So you can definitely fit snacks and soda and all sorts of stuff in here. And then on top of that, there's also a microwave. So if you need to make breakfast, or you want to, like, we came back from the parks and wanted to reheat some pizza that we had purchased earlier, so that was definitely helpful. Of course, like many hotels, there's also a coffee maker in the room along with some free coffee. However, they have bottled water here, and those are $3. So I wouldn't exactly do that, although I might use bottled water because of that Florida smell I told you about. So while all those small amenities are nice, I think the big benefit for us is actually the layout of the room. So as you saw, we have the suite style, so you have this office area or living room with a TV here, and then you have a separate bedroom. And what's great is you also have a closing door, which can really come in handy. For us, this was perfect because one person can work while the other one rested, or both of us could work in different rooms. Or for families, I'd imagine it'd be helpful to have one person resting while the others stay out here and watch TV. Speaking of work, another thing we enjoyed about the Caribe Royale is that the Wi-Fi was free, and at least in the building where we were, it seemed to be pretty decent. We didn't have any problems while we were trying to get our work done, but then again, we also didn't try streaming anything, so I can't really speak to how well that would perform.
The location of the Caribe Royale is also great because you have pretty much a straight shot to Walt Disney World, and once you're on property, you can get to anywhere. So let me show you how easy it is.
So one of the downsides of this hotel is that they do charge resort fees as well as parking fees. So as you can see, it's $25 a night for a resort fee and then $10 for self-parking, but at least tax is included in that. So for 3 nights, it was an extra $105 on top of what I paid on Priceline. However, I should note that Walt Disney World actually just started charging for overnight parking for many of their hotel guests, and that ranges from $13 to $24 a night. So in terms of just parking alone, this is actually a little bit cheaper than that. Another thing to mention in terms of downside is that while it's not the ugliest room I've ever stayed in, it's also not the prettiest. A lot of things feel kind of dated, there's lots of browns, and overall just not, as sleek and modern as you might hope. So this is a real thing in the Orlando area, where apparently there have been scams involving pizza delivery services. So people will slip flyers under your door for different pizza takeout, and you call them and you give them your credit card number, and then the pizza number comes and your credit card number is stolen. We actually did get a flyer for pizza, but apparently this place is a legitimate pizza place, although Google reviews tell me they're not very good. So just use caution when determining whether these places are legitimate, and if you do end up having to go for delivery. One small thing that's kind of weird is that the elevator banks make this V shape, and so it can be a little hard because you use one button for 4 elevators, and if you're not on the right side, it can take a little bit of a hustle to make sure you get into the elevator, especially if you have baggage. So something to watch out for, and just not the best design. Another minor annoyance is that while parking during the day is usually pretty plentiful, coming back at night, like after 9 or 10 p.m., can get pretty tight. So we actually had to park at a couple buildings over from where we are, so obviously I have to go hike back to that now, which is not ideal. But luckily I can move it before we check out so we can carry everything down easily.
Something we didn't take advantage of this time around was the shuttle service to Disney, since we have free parking over there. They do require reservations for that, but you can find out more info on their website.
Now, comparing the Caribe Royale to some of Disney's cheaper hotel options like the All-Stars or Pop Century, technically they're about in the same range. Now, I say technically because I booked this at the last minute, so I'm not sure exactly what the base rate is, whereas the base rate for those hotels is going to be about the same range, but a little bit higher. Another thing to note is that this is going to give you a much larger room than you would get at those hotels, and now that Disney charges parking fees, that's also something to keep in mind.
So all things considered, I'd say that the Caribe Royale is a good option for staying near Walt Disney World without staying on property. In addition to being close to Disney, amenities like having a mini fridge, a microwave, and having that suite layout were really helpful for families. I did try to do some additional price scouting and found that you can get a room at the Caribe Royale for about $108 with the random dates I chose in the fall. Even after hotel fees and parking, this is still a really good deal in my opinion. So I hope you found this review of the Caribe Royale interesting, and if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button, leave a comment, and be sure to subscribe because we have new videos every week. Thanks again for joining me, and I'll see you next time here on Money at 30.